Welcome to this special broadcast of All Hands Television. After more than 30 years of bringing news, stories, and information to the fleet, this is our final edition. December 7th marks the 70th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and we couldn't think of a more appropriate way to close out our show than to come here and look back at that fateful day. 21 ships were sunk or damaged during the attack, and America lost more than 2,300 military personnel and civilians. We begin our program at the Arizona Memorial with a story about the sailors who support this sacred place.
My name is Seaman Anna Wagner, and I drive the boats for the USS Arizona Memorial. A lot of people are surprised too when they find out that I'm just a seaman. A lot of people think I'm an officer, like, oh, must be a captain, but when they find out I'm just a seaman, and a lot of the retired Navy are always really surprised and what, a seaman's driving the boat? So it's kind of funny. I'm from a small town, so it's in Idaho, so it's definitely lots of different people and all different cultures. And in the beginning, being in front of so many people was a little nerve-wracking, but once I got used to it, standing in front of 150 people, giving my speech, wasn't so bad after that. So, but there's definitely days where you just get picture after picture, and so I'm probably in a million pictures, I don't even know. We do about 4 trips an hour when we're busy. We're on 15s, and then sometimes it'll get slower throughout the day, and then we'll do 2 an hour. So, well, 150 on every boat. We have probably about like 4,000 around that, like every day. So probably more. Yeah, it's a lot. I've learned a lot of history since I've been here, but a lot of people ask me questions too, and I get stumped every day because they come up with some new ones. But I definitely do feel like a living piece of history for the boat drivers, because I get to hear a lot of the stories from the survivors that most people won't get to hear. So firsthand experiences that a lot of people don't even know about. So.
If you're interested in this amazing duty, contact your detailer. Service members standing guard over America in the 1940s were faced with many uncertainties. The United States was beginning to rebuild after the Great Depression, and Europe was in turmoil. The country watched the conflicts overseas, wondering if or when the U.S. would get involved.
The attack on Pearl Harbor was part of a surprise airborne assault by the Japanese Navy against American military targets around the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on the morning of Sunday, December 7th, 1941. Immediately, this surprise attack brought the United States into the Second World War. In Europe, Germany recovered from her defeat in World War I. Adolf Hitler and his followers rebuilt Germany's economy and military. Their dream was to restore Germany by conquering all of Europe. In 1939, Hitler fired the opening shots of World War II by invading Poland. England and France responded to the invasion by declaring war against Germany. The United States remained sympathetic and supportive of her European friends, but neutral. By the summer of 1940, Denmark, Norway, Holland, Belgium, Luxembourg, and France had fallen. Hitler put a torch to English cities every night with a blitz of bombing raids. During the day, German and British pilots dueled in the skies above England. With victory on all fronts, Hitler found common cause with the nation of Japan. Both countries believed they required and deserved more space for their people and cultures to expand, one in Europe, the other across Asia. Along with Italy, the 3 countries drafted a pact, agreeing that every nation in the world shall receive the space to which it is entitled. In September of 1940, the Axis powers was born. The collapse of France in the summer of 1940 took away Europe's first line of defense against Japan's expansion in Asia. French Indochina became exposed and vulnerable. Japan moved to occupy its northern half, completing her quick conquest in September without firing a shot. With its newly enlarged presence in the Pacific, Japan began shutting down supply routes to China. In retaliation, the American Congress demanded that President Franklin D. Roosevelt issue a trade embargo against Japan. The Panama Canal was closed to her shipping. Japanese assets in the United States were frozen. Japan was derived of copper, brass, high-grade metal scrap, and most importantly, oil. This forced Japan to search hungrily, again around the Pacific, to replenish her dwindling supplies. Again, events on the opposite side of the globe sped Japan's march towards war with the United States. On July 22, 1941, Germany invaded the Soviet Union. This freed Japan to look south again, to complete the occupation of Southeast Asia. Within days, Japanese troops took control of the rest of French Indochina. The next day, the United States, followed quickly by Britain and the Netherlands, imposed a total trade embargo on Japan. From this moment on for Japan, conflict with the Western Allies became a certainty. Quietly, the Japanese government made the official decision to go to war with America rather than surrender its gains in China and Indochina. For the next 5 months, efforts were made on both sides to avoid the coming crisis, but these were often half-hearted diplomatic smokescreens, serving each side as a way to gain more time to prepare. For America and Japan, the days to back away from war grew fewer and darker.
Tensions between America and Japan were rising, all while the U.S. was still recovering from the Great Depression. It was a difficult time in the country. When we come back, we'll look at the events that led up to the attack on Pearl Harbor. But first, Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy Rick West has a message for the fleet.
As we commemorate the 70th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, I would like to say thank you to all those who have gone before us and laid the foundation that we build upon today. Shipmates, time is fleeting. If you get a chance to shake a World War II veteran's hand, do so, and thank them for their service. Every day, more than 1,000 World War II veterans from our greatest generation pass away. Make time count and recognize their heroic efforts.